Here we go. Welcome back to New Realities. This is part of an ongoing series I am doing with Sheila Seppi in order to get people ready for this upcoming walk-in conference, January 8th and 9th, 2022, with Portal to Ascension. And Sheila, why don't you introduce our guests and the theme of the show today, okay?
Awesome. I want to introduce the theme before I introduce everyone today, because with this walk-in conference, yes, it's all about walk-ins, it's about indigos, but it's also about conscious expansion. And the reason that walk-ins are here on the planet, what's our jobs, what's our missions, what are we here to accomplish and experience? And I met Roslyn, a while back, and Roslyn shared with me one of the videos that she had made from different craft that follow her around. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I really want to use this at the end of day one, because I want to talk about contact and I want to talk about experiences that people are having, because, you know, we're all about disclosure right now. And the reality of it is everyone who is going to be part of the walk-in conference is from somewhere else. We're either from a planet, like in my case, I'm from a collective. We have people who are from the angelics. We have people who are interdimensional beings. And so we all come from somewhere and we get here in various methods. And so I thought it would be beautiful, because Roslyn has put together this film that really, in my opinion, is very soft. It's called Neon Star. It's very... it's intense, but it has a very feminine flair to it. And I thought, wow, if people can really just start accepting that craft are out there and that we are being visited, and other people like who we have here today can talk about experiences or their knowledge or what their understanding is, the more information that we can get out there, the more people are going to begin to accept it, and they're going to understand even a little bit more about walk-ins. So I'm very excited, and thank you guys all for being here today. I'm not sure how it shows on the screen, but we have Roslyn Beth Horowitz, who is the producer of the Neon Star. And of course, we've got Alan up there with the New Realities, who's his show. We have Auggie Nos with Broadcast Team Alpha. We have Omar Fazy with Watcher Stock, and we have Rob Yachts with Full Spectrum Universe. And all of these individuals interview different people about different topics all the time. So it's like, wow, who better to talk to about contact than the experts that are in the field? So that's what our show is about today. And I'm very excited, and thank you guys for joining us again.
Oh, thank you. I'm very excited.
Right. I just want to say that Omar has some major events coming up. You want to just do a quick plug for that, Omar? What you got coming up?
Sure, Alan. Thank you very much. Rob and I from Full Spectrum Universe are doing a number of events this year leading up to the winter solstice of 2022. So what we're doing for March 13th to the 20th is we've lined up 111 speakers, which we're going to be streaming 12 hours a day for 7 days straight. So the idea behind this event is to pretty much put all our cards on the table. So we're going to bring people from all over the world and give all the information that we have so that we can help humanity ascend. The event is called Humanity Unplugged, Explore the Internal. So the idea is that if we can equip ourselves with knowledge and information, then we can really go through this energetic shift, this paradigm shift that we're going through, and help lift the amnesia. Because right now, this is like a do or die. I'm really referring to the Hopi prophecy of the two timelines, when the timelines are going to be split, and then one side's going to be, you know, abundance, love, and peace, and the other side not so much so. So our plan is to bring as many people onto this side of the timeline as we possibly can by equipping them with knowledge. And knowledge is really the key to all things. So I choose a pen over the sword. So really, that's what the intention and the goal behind this event is. So we've got dozens and dozens of speakers already lined up. and just really looking forward to producing this and presenting this on March the 13th.
Right. And Rob, anything you want to add to that?
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that another reason why we're doing this is when people are empowered with this information, they take it to others. So if we can get all that information cultivated into this community space and give it out on such a platform like we're doing, it's going to give everybody else the ammunition to go out and find even others other than the ones watching that they can give, or find these thresholds where people may not be aware of this information or get this information from different sources, and they can bring it to those people who are skeptical or the people that may not believe as much as we do. And then it exponentially grows. So we give a little bit for everybody to digest, and it becomes a tremendous community. Not just, you know, we all have our communities and we're coming together, but we want to facilitate that as well as a grand community, just coming together and all putting our energies into the same works and seeing how it goes from there.
Beautiful. That is great. Sheila, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm so excited that you guys are doing this. I've been an apprentice to a Hopi elder now for 22 years, and she's actually the one that really helped me to understand who I was as a walk-in. So woohoo, good for you guys.
Yeah, it's really exciting, Sheila, because during the event last night, I was speaking to a friend of mine, and we're also going to be doing a panel of 5 Indigenous women that are also walk-ins, right? So we're going to dedicate 2 hours to a walk-in panel. That's the most time anybody's actually going to have through the entire conference. It's usually going to be like 45 minutes to an hour. But I felt that these Indigenous women, they just have a lot to share, especially with their walk-in experience that they've had. So I thought that that'd be a great thing to highlight during the event, to show people that this type of contact is happening, that starseeds are coming to the earth, and that we should be aware and actually listen to what these people have to tell us and what they have to educate us with. So I found that to be really exciting last night. I was almost jumping up and down when I got the confirmation. I was like, woohoo!
Right. Wow. That is so. I think we're off to a good year, good new year. And today's special guests, Auggie and Roslyn, are part of the upcoming panel. You want to talk about that for the walk-ins, Sheila?
Sure. Actually, everyone here today is part of that panel. And
Right.
What I thought would be awesome is if everyone could introduce themselves a little bit more and, kind of tell why they're coming to be part of this. What sparked your interest to even want to participate in a panel like this? And maybe share some of your experience too. That'd be awesome.
That would be great. Yes. So go ahead, call on somebody then,
Yeah,
Sheila.
so Roslyn, you want to go ahead and start?
Okay, sure. It's first, I really have to say it's been amazing, and I'm sending out so much compassion and love for everyone who are holding these energies and who are having these experiences and realizing that things are really different than they ever were in our lives personally, on the planet. It's beyond explanation. And being a cosmic, divine, multidimensional being myself, it's really an honor and an awakening to, like Alan's show says, new realities. And that's really the way it is. So I've been having experience since birth. So it's been a long journey, and an exciting one, and a wondrous one, and sometimes a little awkward and lonely. And I think a lot of people need to feel what we're feeling and see that we're also human like them, and they're us and we are them, and we are everything. Everything comes from source. So we all, no matter if we're Arcturian or we relate to that aspect of us or another, we're all coming from the same place. That's why we need to have universal love, because this is a movement. that we're all doing together. And for the first time, I really believe in millennia, it's becoming a larger and larger and larger unified movement within humanity itself. And I think the fact that we're starting to see craft and have these experiences is part of what's really waking us up. So, about my background a little bit. Sovereign cosmic, celestial, multidimensional, galactic star being, and they call me Cosmic Utopian Rose. That was given to me, that came to me, this I never liked being called Rose in my lifetime, and suddenly I became Cosmic Utopian Rose. And I'm accepting more and more. This is about releasing everything and truly accepting your highest and true self from your heart, and living your true heart's dreams and passions and the really what you are, and not worrying about what other people think. Like our beautiful Kimura says, don't worry about other people think of you, just go ahead and be who you are, and you'll see everything will just continue to grow and grow, including your happiness and your experiences. And so yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with the craft?
Yes. With the craft, well, that's been for a few years now. I've been hanging out the window for many years now. I call it just hanging out the window no matter what weather, rain, cold, everything. And it's all happened, most of it, here in Israel. Not that I haven't had other experiences since birth as far as contact. I have been contacted by beings. I have been, beings have come down in my presence, and I've had interactions and things since birth. But here, since I've been in Israel, I was called here to the Middle East. I guess everyone knows, it's tough times, and still there's all the separation on the planet. I felt I was called here to hold energies, to hold peace and love, and the energies of love, and for transformation. And really, that's become my mantra. That I say this mantra. I say, I am the transformation. And this is for everyone. I want you to know this. I'm a bit of a channel, so if something's coming through, it's going to come out. So I am the transformation. I have the information. I am the transformation. I have the information. I am the transformation. I am the information. I am the transformation. I am the information. I am the transformation. I am the information. We are all of it, everything. And so when we open our hearts, and this is part of what I'm getting to of how I connect with the ships, and how you can too, and connect to your higher self and connect to your higher being and all the beings that are connecting with you and wanting to connect with us. They're our extended family. This is the best time of our lives here on the planet and as a human being. So I'm so excited. I'm like Sheila, I'm just bursting out of myself for what I call, what they're doing is cosmic disclosure. And we're bringing it on, the disclosure, not the disclosure, because they've had information for many, many years and they've not shared it with us. So now guess what? We're here now, and we're having these experiences. So we're going to share them, and we're going to keep doing that until we can all be one in the new reality that is really what's always been. We just couldn't see it. So since I've come here to Israel, I've both places I lived, I've had amazing experiences. I had a rooftop apartment with a rooftop garden. And what would happen is I'd go out in the morning and I would just felt these energies to go out. And everything would just, taking pictures in my garden of the sun is beautiful, the going through the trees, and I started getting elemental beings and other things, and I even received a picture of a chair, a spaceship pilot seat. I guess that was mine, but it had this amazing. I'll have to find that picture, but it was amazing, and I had beings show up in my garden. What would happen is everything would go dark. It was sunrise, 8 o'clock in the morning, but my whole garden would go dark, and all of the scenes that are in my photographs would be there. So what I have is some kind of an ability. And I used to tell my friend, he was with his hands, he was a healer, and I said, I'm having something with my eyes. I'm bringing this in, this transmissions. I can receive this. And I asked also from my heart to bring in these proofs so that some people are like, they're living in the show me state. You know, show me. I don't believe anything. Okay, I said, okay. I volunteer to be an ambassador to the cosmos, an ambassador for cosmic love, an ambassador to connect us to our star families so that we can see that it's real, that we're real, you know. So everything would go dark in the garden and suddenly beings would appear. I even put them on, these behind me are not paintings. These are those pictures I'm talking about. That being there and that there, those are photographs. I didn't paint, I couldn't paint that if I tried. It's a photograph. And I call that one Abundant Blessings because it's showing, and they also, when I travel through the central sun and I travel through the cosmos, I do some kind of time traveling or something, but time goes missing and I could take 150 pictures in 6 seconds. And that's why I know time is missing. And it's an amazing experience, but it does take a lot of energy to integrate that and to anchor it into our timeline here, now on Gaia. Because here now on Gaia is where we're bringing these energies and creating the change that will be our Garden of Eden, our future, our new life. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And I love your photos. I'm excited to see, because I know we're going to be able to see a clip of your movie, The Neon Star. So that'll be beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate you being here today as well.
Thrilled to be here. Thank you.
So guys, if you want to watch this video, you have to come to the conference. And if you haven't signed up, please go ahead and do so. portaltoascension.org. Go ahead and register and use the code PTA25 and receive 25% off of the ticket price, or your registration fee, I should say. We don't do tickets anymore. So thank you very much. And thanks so much for being here, Roslyn.
Thank you.
Rob, you want to share with us?
Sure. You know, I'm from Full Spectrum Universe. I started off as a host, and I was a gentleman who talked to many people who've had contact or essentially had some sort of energetic impulse from somewhere else that transformed them in some different way with ancient knowledge, or people who had direct contact with entities from beyond, whether they ultra-dimensional, extra-dimensional, extraterrestrial. And I worked with a lot of these people for a very long time. My mentor was one of those people, and he brought me into the field of podcasting and broadcasting. And then it came to a point where I was so enveloped in this community and kind of, you know, I always saw myself as a bit of an outsider in that sense, because I never had that contact. And I tried to explain to my fiance what I was doing and who I was talking to. And she really never, not that she's not into it as much as I am. So she's kind of on the outside as well. But she is a very spiritual person, whether she knows it or not. And I try and tell her that. And me and Omar put together a conference called Total Disclosure. And it was 55 speakers. It was last year. And we also had been taking part in meditations at Uluru for the summer and winter solstices. And we saw contact there through film. And when we did this total disclosure event, I had somewhat of the same contact 2 weeks prior and then 2 weeks again after. And it's funny because the after was right here where I am in Texas, and the prior was in New York in my house in New York. And my fiance was standing right next to me. And I'm still under the impression that I manifested this moment through trying to show her this side of what we do, and hoping that she would experience something with me in that sense where we would see something, and we did. And to this day she still can't explain it. She is very much on board with kind of what we're doing now, and the person that I've become
What
over the
did you
last.
see, Rob? What did you see?
So in the night sky, we saw a tremendous light. It was very big, but it was very far away. And it moved about 10 inches straight up to me. And then it shot off, stopped, and disappeared. It was like, I've never seen anything move like that. She's never seen anything move like that. And then directly 20 minutes after that, I counted 7 different military aircraft doing a triangle pattern around my house. It was the wildest thing. And they came from all directions, but that was within 20 minutes. I don't live near an airport. I don't live near an army base. The nearest army base is probably an hour and a half away. So for them, it's not far, but at the same time, we don't see planes flying in that manner a lot. We do the total disclosure event. And then see, I took this contact in 2 ways. First I saw it as like somewhat of like a head nod from them saying like, you're on the right path, you're doing what you're doing. And during that event, talking to Alan and Sheila and everybody, I also had a little bit of a download, and I'm going to get to that in a second because it came later and I didn't realize it at the time, even though I did, but I didn't. And I'm going to explain why I did, but I didn't, because it came to me through a comment, but then that comment became solidified later on. So fast forward. Now, this is all within a month period, 2 weeks. I see the same thing in Texas in the big night sky. And in Texas, you feel like you're a little bit closer to the stars because it's so flat and so clear. And I saw it again. Now, my sister does live near an airport. So it's different than the lights that we saw coming from the airport because she's so close to the airport. You see the planes coming and going at different elevations. But this was so high up, it looked as if it was a star, but it was so big compared to every other speck of star that it had to be something other than what I thought it was at first, which was just a shooting star. And during that total disclosure, that conference, when we were on a panel, I said, what we're doing is we're cultivating a database from the community and through the community to give to others and other generational people so that they could awaken and ascend faster than we ever did, the next legacies of us. And then later in meditation, I saw ancient Native Americans painting on the walls. And essentially my job is to take that torch and do what they did and kind of create this database in a medium state of every type, from paper to digital to hopefully crystal if I can get it, and import it into a crystal to save it for just in case any catastrophe that happens or this split happens. People have a roadmap through their life's work to get to that ascended frequency that we're trying to all reach now, being those forever students and learning. So that's where right now that is where I'm at, and I'm cultivating this database through people in the community and just getting their stories, but also getting ancient teachings like the Vedas and other spiritual texts from the Aboriginals and the Native Americans, and really conceptualizing all of it so it's all in one spot for people to access at their will. Now, it's not digital yet, but I do have an external hard drive that's 5 terabytes, and I've filled up probably about 2 of those 5 terabytes with nothing but books and episodic things that I thought were important, and I'm just creating that, and that's going to be left for whatever the next generation has. So all those star seeds that we know are learning at such a faster rate have some sort of guide to go forward, and just for God forbid anything happens to all the people, it's there. And that's where I'm at right now. So I've been working on that for many, and also with the events that we're doing too, those events are cultivating that information as well. So that's why this 100 speaker event is like something that I am taking so much pride in, because it's the collective world knowledge that we have at our hands right now, and having it all in one place to digest it all at one time is going to break ground for a lot of people, I think. And I think that it's going to break ground for me, especially when me and Omar do events. We don't do events that we think people want. We do events that we want to hear, because we feel that it's kind of, hopefully it resonates with people, but we're the students and we want to learn, and we want to be the ones that are out there in the thick of it, trying to figure it all out. So that's where I'm at right now. And then I have my YouTube channel, Full Spectrum Universe, which is also adapting to this database and trying to get the greatest amount of people I can onto the platform to really touch on what their experience is, because we learn through each other's experiences. Even though we are individual expressions of the infinite consciousness, we are each a projection of each other too. And there is that dichotomy. So I think it's a really great thing, and I'm just appreciative to be here. I have so much gratitude, and I love working with all of you and just speaking with you, because every time I do, I learn something different every time.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's talk to Auggie, who I don't know that much about, but I'm happy he's joining us, and give us some of your background and your connection to the whole walk-in event and all that.
Well, okay, thank you. I feel so privileged to be invited to this event, because this is wonderful. Just great people, and all the ears out there that will be listening to this in the future, it's going to be some really good stuff. And about myself, it's pretty simple, actually. I was born and raised back in Europe, in Northern Europe, in Norway, and on a farm. And I figured it out that that's not what I wanted to do. So I came to the United States and became a pilot, and I flew for 23 years, had a flight school, international air taxi, and an air carrier for a while, and started doing other things, and doing radio shows and TV shows and things. And I've been learning since I was about that tall towards what I'm doing now. And
where are you located now? I'm just curious.
I'm in Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, okay, great. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us, what are you doing?
Well, I myself and Nori Love, we are doing the Broadcast Team Alpha show. And we had some great guests on there. You should check it out. Some broadcastteamalpha.com. And also we have assembled a mastermind of phenomenal minds, where we are bending the laws of physics sometimes to get things done. And there are some unbelievable things that we've been able to do. So that's something that we actually invite people to come and join also, and check it out with us. You can get in touch, and can get you some information with that. But I'm stumbling on my words. I'm wondering how to say this. I like to also include the nuts and the bolts of reality that people see when they look around to the spiritual arena, because there's a lot of people that is not quite ready yet to accept all the spiritual realms out there. They are rooted in the day-to-day living, going to work, making a living. That's the problem. Once you get used to making a living, you may not even have a life, but there's a difference between those two. So if we can understand how the nuts and the bolts fit into the spiritual life that we have, then we can tie the two of them together, and it could be easier to understand. See, most reasonable thinking people, they know that they can accept that, yeah, there is more than one reality, more than one dimensions here. And this forum, of course, is about walk-ins. And when we think about walking, some spiritual entity coming into this reality where we think we are living and start maybe short circuiting the life cycle of a person so that they step into the middle of it and then take over for the purpose of good. That is really hard to wrap our heads around for a lot of people. They say, oh, sure, you know, I've had some experiences. In this incarnation, I am not a walk-in, but I have had an experience that explained how it worked. Where I had a download when the universe was explained to me, both in concept and detail. And in there was a part of it was called a short circuit of, or a shortening of the life cycle for some people that wasn't quite doing their job, and they just didn't want to be here anymore spiritually. So they were switched and someone else came in, took over, and maybe then went in a different direction. So they got the job done, so to speak. And the universe can hold many different dimensions, but that is different from universes. A universe was shown to me as kind of a bubble of consciousness with things in it. Within that bubble, there is many different levels of existence that turns into dimensions. And in there, everything is made from consciousness. Even Albert Einstein, about a year before he died, he made a comment in an interview somewhere where he said that, let's see if I can quote him. He said, I have studied the universe more than most, and I found that everything in this universe is made from the vibration of love. Now, that's powerful, not in itself, but because it came from him. That makes it extra powerful. And even now in quantum mechanics, we are starting to see that everything around us is mind created. We're living in a mind created universe. There's a theoretical physicist named James Gates, and he says that if we look deep in the equations that explains the fabric of space, we find computer language. It is so organized, symmetrical, and intelligently put together. It says it cannot be done by accident, and we did not put it there. There's a consciousness behind the creation of everything that we see around us in this level of existence as well as the universe. So that's kind of the nuts and the bolts of it. If we take it from there and move it up into the higher vibrations, we live in a fourth dimensional existence here. You got 3 dimensions, that's length, width, and height. Now you got a box. Nothing happens in that box unless you add the 4th dimension to it, which is time. And then we're hearing everybody saying that, well, I can't wait until we get into the 5th dimension. What is that 5th dimension? It's a higher vibration where we are able to look back into the 4th dimension. And there in the lower 5th dimensions, I'm not so sure that we want to stay there very long, because that's where the ghosts are trapped. The people that has disembodied themselves and don't know what to do, where to go. There's a lot of confusion there. But in the higher vibration, when you get into the 6th dimension, that's when you create. As a spiritual being, you create by thought. What you think about happens. You can make it happen. 7th, that's when you have access to all universal knowledge. And a lot of the walk-ins that is coming now, they never really had, some did and some didn't, but a lot of them never had a physical body in their existence. They come from higher vibrations into this lower vibration for a specific purpose of helping us raise our vibration globally, both of the environment and the beings in the environment. When we are raising our vibration here, we expand into the higher vibrations also, and that is what they come here to help do. I have a friend here in Tucson. She is a walk-in. She cannot remember anything in earthly previous existences, but she remembers things from other worlds. And some of those stories get a little strange, but they are very powerful. She came here, and she's a good teacher. She came here to help raise the vibration here, and she's working with people on both sides of the physical and the spiritual. So yes.
So what's your main teaching? What is your main message here that you want to deliver?
My main message is consciousness. I speak on, that's my favorite thing to talk about, explain consciousness all the way from the nuts and the bolts up into the higher vibrations, because consciousness is where it all is. Everything in our level of vibration in these 4 to 5 dimensional existences has consciousness. Now that's kind of hard to defend. Everything here has consciousness. Would a plant or a rock have consciousness? Yes, it does. It actually is part of consciousness because it is consciousness. I have a book there I want to show you. This is a book called The Secret Life of Plants. If you ever get your hands on it, you are going to have some interest in reading. He proves scientifically with experiments that plants have consciousness. They communicate with you. They talk to you. They know what's going to happen in the future before it happens. These are scientific experiments that prove this. As well, if we go back to the rock, it doesn't necessarily have consciousness, but it is part of consciousness. So when we know who we are as a spiritual being that came here for a specific purpose, and then have a mission for something to do, we need to find out what it is, and that we can find out by going within. Now, as a walk-in, you may come with that knowledge that is already available to you, but some of us may not have found out yet. And I had, several decades ago, I had an incredible experience where I had a face-to-face meeting with a light being. And he told me certain things to do at that time. And I've done a lot of these things. He said, that's a year after I came to the United States. I went back to Norway to visit for Christmas. And I walked off into the forest that we had connected to the farm. There's an old Viking grave mound in there. I crawled up on there and I sat there and meditated for a little bit. And it just really quick, I'm gonna spend about 60 seconds here explaining this one. It sounded like somebody just turned on a faucet so water was running. I thought that was strange because I was in the middle of the woods. So I opened my eyes up and there was this person standing in front of me on top of the grave mound, probably about 6-8 feet away. He was about 7 foot tall, lit up like a light bulb. Scared the daylights out of me, so I just ran. And I heard this voice in my head, "Where are you going?" I thought about that and I walked back and I got up on the grave mound again and I sat down. and I had a communication with him. It was, I asked some questions and I got a few answers. From there on, it was pretty much him talking, me listen deal. But it was a very interesting experience. He told me certain things that if you agree to do this, you will have help. And I can feel the help because I visited with him several times later. This is the kind of things that everybody can have. You can have those downloads, but it comes usually through meditation. You can go within and you can discover who you are, what the real spiritual world around you is, and you can also discover if you are a walk-in and don't know it. There's quite a few of those out there. And I don't know if I want to hear from somebody else here that is smarter than me also. I've been talking for a while now, so I don't know how much I should go.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that. That was great to give you a kind of understanding of where you're coming from. Sheila, were you going to say something?
No, I was just I was muted, but I was saying thank you, Auggie. I can't wait to hear more about all of your different adventures. So maybe you can bring some of that information with you to the conference.
I'll do that.
Thanks.
I just want to have one question, Auggie. Do you think the things are changing in a certain particular way? What do you get about where we're going now?
Well, the one thing that I noticed when I had the download, I saw the how the universe was explained. There is no timestamps on it. I saw some things that was alarming, but I also saw some good things. And this coming year here, I think the way I was explained to me that in the middle of the year somewhere, all of this garbage is going to go away. There's going to be a revelation. Some of it is coming through disclosure. When they open the door on disclosure to the alien presence, everything will fall apart for them because we're going to get, hey, these people that comes in those ships, they don't use low octane gasoline to get here. We have new technologies. We will have an understanding of the spiritual existence up and beyond the physical existence. All of this will come, and that will make everything fall apart for the cabal, because they cannot deal with that, and we understand who we are and the power of our mind, and they will go away. Whatever happens to them, whatever they have earned is good with me. So just leave the garbage in the dumpster where it belongs. But
Right.
this year will be the year of, if nothing changes and we do not continue as we have done, this will be the year we lose freedom on Earth. But that's not going to happen because we are on the prowl. We are educating people. We are learning and we are growing as a global community. So give it 2 months. There will be a great revelation on something. Maybe not even that much. And by July 4th, I think we're going to have, most of it will be over. That's my prediction.
Excited. Yeah, I'm excited to hear that because, you know, my collective keeps telling me when I'm like, okay, so what's going on? What's going on? You know, they keep saying that it's a rebalancing, but you're the first person that I've also heard mention that information about the religions because, you know, the religious books that came down had to be lowered in their vibrational frequency before they could be transmitted. So they had to drop in to like the 13th through the 9th dimension. And then that information was written from those dimensions and came down. But I've been told that we're getting ready to have from the 14th up, at least the 19th dimension, we're going to have so much information that's going to be coming in. So I'm very excited, and that's great that you're getting that information too. It's just confirmation. Woohoo!
Yeah, I don't know how many dimensions there are because what I kind of saw is that when it gets into the ninth and on up, it gets kind of fuzzy because everything it comes together. I don't even know how, let's say 12, I don't even know if there is such a thing as individuality and separation. Right. You may be just part of the whole that has an individualized concept within it, but as one. So if you want to come down and visit this place, then you need to separate yourself from the whole and come down here, take your individuality with you to have a look around and participate, and then go back home again. I'm not really sure how it exists up there because it kind of flowed together.
Yeah, as I've been explained, it's kind of like street numbers. It's a way of cataloging, because there are certain beings that exist within those dimensions that have certain roles, and they're also part of councils. And so there is, there's layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, but all of that aside, I don't know how it works either. I've just been, when I've asked about it, how many dimensions are there? There's dimensions within subdimensions and this and that. And it's like, yes, and all of that is true, but it's kind of like street numbers, just to kind of, to give you an idea is what they were telling me to explain it. But I'm excited that kind of information is coming down, and maybe Rob and Omar, you'll get some of that kind of information flowing out of your conference as well. So woohoo! Excited.
When you're talking about dimensions, let me just mention one thing, and that is some scientists now, they think, theoretical physicists on the blackboard using the equations of quantum mechanics, some of them are starting to say that there are 10 to the 500th power of universes as well as dimensions. Multiply that out, that's a huge number.
Oh yeah.
Now that gives a little different perspective on what is around us, and some of that is right within us.
Yeah, Auggie, if I can add something to that, certainly what you're speaking about here is an enormous package for us to, let's say, those of us who are those who are just beginning to even try to find out who they are themselves. And you know what, I feel it's such a delicate and yet complicated time to be handled with such care and love, because I think some of us are a little bit leaps ahead in all that we have. I know I am carrying powerful energies as well, and I realize that we have to also consider why we're here, obviously, and we're here doing this right now and doing all of these things, but not trying to overwhelm people, but letting them know that just really the most important thing, like you said before, is to go within, because all of those answers, all of the courage we need to let go of anything that was from a false reality that we did think was our reality. Just beginning there, hearing other people's stories, hearing these informations, and it's okay. It's all going to come. You don't have to feel overloaded or overwhelmed. Just continue doing your own research. Take in what you can, digest that. What do we call that? We're embodying, or we're integrating. We're integrating this massive change that's happening. We're integrating it into our consciousness, into our DNA, into all that we are. And yes, we're in school now. We're all in the same class. That class is the unified universe of consciousness and God. And we did want to come here. And if this is the final and the ultimate school, being Earth School, the experience that comes with this realm that we're in now here, it's so amazing to speak about it like that. To know that we're in a realm amongst many, many realms. And we created this. so that we could, I believe, expand consciousness and itself. Because through this, through the let's say the selflessness of our fall, as they call the angelics, the falling of humanity, the falling, through the falling, and then we rise again. The only way to learn is to experience. So we're now having, and we're reaching it all the time at different levels of those experiences. And it's something to be honored and not to take for granted and not to be afraid of and not to feel less than. We're enough. We're already enough. We're here. We came that way. We just did the experience. And be gentle with your, just everyone be gentle with yourselves. Love yourself dearly for doing this. And know that you are so much more. You are so much more. And you're already everything right now within you. You're already all of that. And so then we can go deeply into one area or another area, and it's all good. It's all good. What you're doing, Rob, wow. I mean, it's like you're putting together a time capsule of information, what it sounds and feels like. And I have just this overwhelming feeling inside of how big that actually is and how much you're putting in. And Auggie, how far you're going out into the universe and that knowledge, you know. And so all of us, I mean, it's going to take a lot of conferences, Sheila.
Well, great.
I like
Okay.
that too.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Okay, let's see. Omar, are you ready to share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, so my name is Omar, and I am the founder and the host at Watchers Talk. It's been around for 7 years now, going into my 8th year. I am based out of British Columbia, Canada. And, really when I began this journey 7-8 years ago, it was because of my wife. She has had, experiences her entire life, missing time. She sees things when she goes to sleep and, tells me that there's people with white coats hovering around her, and she's had this since the beginning and couldn't really understand it. So when she was telling me this, I thought, okay, I'll start a podcast and I'll talk to people who have had similar experiences, and maybe I can begin to understand this. And if I can understand this, then I can help my wife understand it so that she can make sense of what's happening to her and what's going on her entire life. So while I was doing that, I learned a lot of information, talked to a lot of people that are abductees and have had ET experiences and, conscious or otherwise. And after a while, I really, began to understand that this phenomena really is happening to, majority of the population, but they just simply don't recall. And the number one thing I learned from that is that it's mostly consciously based, right? Up until a certain time of your life, you're physically taken aboard these ships. And then after a while, it's more of a conscious experience where they're telepathically connecting with you, consciously connecting with you. So Amy and I, we worked through it, and she began to understand what's happening with her. And so she began meditating and trying to connect with them at their own level and with her level to understand what is it that they want. And then during that, I learned that and these things that are happening, it's mostly hereditary, and that it's happening mostly to women, and it's been happening for generations upon generations upon generations. So I don't know whether it's part of an ongoing genetic experiment, or if it's a genetic upgrade, or what the case might be. I'm still trying to explore that. But through that, my focus really shifted a few years ago, where I went from the nuts and bolts aspect of UFOs and flying saucers and whatever people want to call them, more so into the conscious side of trying to understand what's going on and who's visiting us, where they're visiting us from, and most importantly, what do they want? Right? Are they trying to hijack our sovereignty, or are they trying to upgrade our sovereignty? So really my focus got set on that. So since that point, I've really been bringing speakers on and exploring the consciousness aspect of the human experience. And for myself, what I've come to understand is, here on my screen it says Watchers Talk, but when you go to my studio, the title I go by is A Projection of You. So the thing that I understood is that, there might be dimensions that have been created, but overall, we're really an expression of the 0 point field, the 0 point dimension, the zero consciousness, the 0 point avatar, because everything manifests out of nothing. So the 0 point state in itself would be the Akashic records or the Hall of Records or whatever label people want to, try to attach to it. For me, I see it as a field of information. And from that field of information, if you will imagine like a disco ball, and from that disco ball, you have all these lights coming out, and then those lights that are coming out are the individual expressions of that 0 point state. And from that 0 point state, we have like these, dimensions that have been broken down to really, truly try to understand what this 0 point is. So what I feel is that everything that we see, everything that there is or ever was or ever will be, is really an expression of that 0 point state. And it's just experiencing itself through this manifestation. Now, when we look at consciousness, consciousness is the mirror effect of this 0 point consciousness, or 0 point dimension. And from that, the consciousness is being mirrored and expressing itself, and then from that everything exists. Moons and meteors and suns and planets and us and my cat and everything else that exists is really an expression of that. And then depending on the level of understanding and awareness that we have, we can reach a certain level in experiencing that particular consciousness. Because what I feel is that we have consciousness over here, then we have the mind, and then we have the avatar. Now the mind, which is a reflection of the consciousness based on the world that you've incarnated into, like for instance, this earth experience that we're having, the mirror aspect of the consciousness, the mind, is really limited to the experiences of this world, of the genetic memory, and everything that everyone has ever experienced is really within that field of information of that mind. And that's where really our thoughts are connected to. That's where we store our information, is within that mind. Now, if we were to incarnate someplace else, let's say, Andromeda, or, if we wanted to come as an insectoid, then that world, that particular experience would really reflect the mind, right? Because imagine if you have the consciousness, and from that consciousness, you have like these millions of different aspects of the mind, and that mind is what we're really experiencing as this human being. Now, when you go into a higher, state of awareness, and, walk-ins, for instance, what I'm assuming is happening is that, as Auggie was mentioning earlier, that whatever spirit or whatever the essence or whatever the soul might be just simply doesn't want to continue to be here. So it exchanges spots with somebody else that's like-minded from that same hive mind. Right now, the hive mind that I'm talking about would be like the earth mind, the earth hive mind, or the insectoid hive mind, or whatever the case may be, all these different hive minds. And those can interchange from one mind to another mind to another mind, and really try to experience the level of consciousness that's available to that particular world. Now, what I find happens is that when we incarnate into this realm, there is a governor attached to our consciousness, kind of like a governor that's attached to a car, where you can't go over 85 kilometers an hour, regardless of how much, gas you press, or, how much pedal to the metal you have. 85 is the max that it will get. I feel the same thing is happening with human beings and other entities that are out there, whether they're in this dimension or alter dimension, or whatever the case may be, that there is a particular governor attached to that consciousness where you can't vibrate beyond that consciousness, and that you can experience that consciousness up to that level simply because of the vibration and the distortion of this planet. So if we were to experience consciousness that goes beyond this vibrational distortion, we simply wouldn't have access to it, because our radio dial, because if you consider the human avatar to be like a radio dial, and that antenna right here is connected to the mind, and that mind is a reflection of the consciousness, then your vibration is really set to this world. And because it's set to this world, you will only experience the consciousness that you're governed to experience. But once you leave this, I feel this, this field of information that we're interacting with, after this, we really go back to the zero source, back to the 0 point. Within that mind, there might be hive minds and individuality within it, but we coexist as one. And within that one, there's the separation. And that separation really is an illusion to have an experience of these multiple matrices that we, interact with. And that's really, my understanding so far of consciousness, and how people are really experiencing that consciousness. I always say, it's how much time you have available to a certain aspect of your consciousness, or to your awareness, or to your understanding, because consciousness is something that is experienced. Right? Consciousness, we have this breath of consciousness within us that gives us this, kind of like a battery, right? Where it gives us, energizes us so that we can be awake, right? From a sleep state to being awake. But being awake is totally different than being awoke, right? Everybody's awake. They're walking around, they're aware of what's happening around them, but that's pretty much it of their, source of awareness. So we, really, my goal really to this whole thing that I'm doing is not for everyone else, right? This is really, is to educate myself, is to raise my own self-awareness so that I can connect to that form of consciousness, and that I can have access to it and experience that consciousness at a higher level to wherever it's governed to, so that I can be a better person myself, so that I can bring the love from that consciousness within me. So if I have that within me, then that's going to reflect around me, and it's going to create the reality around me. Kind of like who was it? Dan Winter, I believe it was, that was speaking about the railroad track theory, where you have two railroad tracks and you're going, and they just move further and further and further away from one another, and soon one reality just kind of disappears and this one just creates itself. So what my idea behind it is that if I can bring the love back from that infinite consciousness to within myself, then my reality will be love all around me, and that hatred and that loathing and all of that just simply won't affect me, because I'm not exposed to it, because it's not part of my reality. So the goal here for me is to pass forward love, and the only answer is love, because once we accept love into our hearts, then everything becomes easier. It's like Jesus said, accept love into your heart, accept Jesus into your heart. I'm not a religious person. I don't follow any particular religion, but what I do resonate with is the message of the Christ consciousness of love, right? That's really what the answer really is. So if we can ooze love from ourselves, then everything around us will ooze love in itself. And then that in itself will create a ripple effect right across the planet, where it's going to, subject everyone to that very same thought and feeling, because that one person can make a difference. That one person, when you begin to love, then that creates an environment, that ecosystem around you that other people begin to pick up, because it's magnetized. Love is like a magnet. And then when we magnetize to it, then that reflects onto somebody else. And then soon, you go from one person to 10 people, 10 10 people to 100 to 1,000 and so on and so on. And that's really how we need to move forward with this movement and this understanding of what a human being really is. Because a human being, as I've mentioned to Rob a number of times now, and I've mentioned it on my show, that a human being, the nature of this planet has left the human being alone, meaning that it's created the human being to be an unestablished state. When we look at a dog, a cat, a bird, whatever the case may be, those are established states of beings because they don't aspire to be anything more than what they are. My cat, for instance, my cat does not want to be anything more than a cat. It just simply wants to have a cat experience. But because I am an unestablished state, I have the ability to go higher within myself. I have the ability to create myself, reform myself, and to understand myself better. And I think that's a gift that people need to begin to understand with themselves, because when they say that I am a body, I am me, and I'm separate, that's really a delusion and that they're living in. And they need to go beyond that because of our unestablished state. That is a gift that we've been given so that we can become like that godlike creature that we wish to become, because we have that ability within us, unlike an animal or a bird that just wishes to be what it is. The only thing a bird or an animal wants is food. Once it has the food, then it's content, right? But with a human being, you give it food, the only thing that's going to happen is that we're going to go sideways, but our mind is going to continue to run because it aspires to be more than what it currently is. And that's the message that I really would like to throw out into the world, to understand that you're an unestablished state, that you can transform and make yourself better.
Wow, that was amazing.
Thank you.
That was really awesome. Awesome. Yeah, you got some wonderful comments over here too. So we were all
Definitely hit the home run. You
That's
hit
right.
the home run on that one, bud.
That's
I
right.
Comments like back to the wall, and he takes his victory lap around the bases. Talk about this a lot, me and Omar. We have, I don't want to call it existential crises, but just conversations that essentially we bounce off each other almost every day in some way, shape, or form to keep each other extra sharp all the time, and really make our intentions pure and our motives for ourselves and to help ourselves help others and all of that. So it to me, when he says these things, it's just a reaffirmation every time, and I enjoyed it. It was beautiful.
Awesome.
It's like just want to add one more thing. It's like the keyboard avatar is really what I call it. The masses out there, right? They're really rolling with this keyboard avatar. And what I mean behind that is that majority of the population hasn't read the manual that comes with this mechanism. Right now, because you haven't read the manual to this mechanism, you're, taking your keyboard and you're just, hitting keys everywhere and not understanding the functions of each one of those keys. So when you're randomly pressing those keys and actions are happening to you, you're not understanding why these actions are happening. So then people get into that low emotional thinking by saying, oh, I have such bad luck. Shitty things always happen to me. Bad things are constantly happening to me. That is because, number one, the intention. And second is because they don't understand their own mechanism. Now, if you take the time to go internally and go into that zero state above your chakra, your crown chakra, and go into that zero state and go into that stillness and that quietness, the manual will be shown to you and you can read that manual. And once you have read that manual, you can come back and now you can intelligently press keys and then press those keys and understand the functions of those keys. And when you press those, things will happen. When positive things begin to happen, then people begin to create those positive affirmations, right? Like for instance, this weekend, we did really an intention-based event where I was using the example of an apple, where people say, I want an apple. And then about 5 or 10 minutes later, or a day or a week later, they create another affirmation or another intention and cancel out the old one by saying, oh, I'll never get that apple, or I don't have enough money to get that apple. They don't realize the power of thought, because once you say, I'm never going to get that apple, and you put that energy out, then what the universe is going to do is going to make sure that you don't get that apple, no matter how bad you want it. When you say, I don't have enough money to get this apple, again, you're making another affirmation with your mind by telling the universe that you don't have any money. So now the universe is going to work against you by showing you that, hey, you don't need money because you don't want it, so you don't get any. Right. So we need to really, be aware of our thoughts and be aware of our conscious thought as to what's happening within us, and be aware of those thoughts 24 hours, 7 days a week, your waking hours. Be constantly aware of your thoughts. I've been doing this for about 2.5 months now. And I tell you, it was a challenge to begin with, where I was consciously aware of my thought. And every time a negative thought came into my mind, I would purge it. I would confront it and I would get rid of it. I just say to myself, center thyself, and just say, fuck it. And then when I do that, whatever negativity that was trying to implant itself in my mind disappears just like that. And then I refocus myself on the path that I am of love. And then I put that intention out there again. People need to do that on a daily basis. Not only that, but say to yourself on a daily basis, when you go into the bathroom in the mirror to brush your teeth, simply look at yourself and say, I love you. By just simply saying those 3 words, your life will transform in ways that is not even imaginable to you, because we're 70% water. The planet is 70% water. Water holds memory. Water is intelligent. Because our water is intelligent, and you tell your water that I love you, then the atoms of that water within your body, they begin to change. And once they begin to change, then your awareness becomes higher. You begin to distort higher. You begin to vibrate higher. You get access to that consciousness that you've been wanting. Right? Because if you can't say that you love yourself, then how can you expect other people to say that they love you? Or how can you say to somebody else that you love them when you're not even showing affection to yourself? Right? So those are some of the methods that people really need to begin to employ here in this 222 year, because of the high energy and the shift and energetic shift that's happening, the only way we can do that is through the vibration of love. So say to yourself, I love you. There's nothing to be ashamed of it. There's nothing to be embarrassed about it. Love yourself. It's really, is my message to the world.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's great. Thank you.
So, Alan,
Yes.
how about you? You're part of this. You're part of the panel.
Oh, okay. I wasn't really going to share because I do that all the time, but let me just get into a good position over here. Okay, let's see. Here we go. What do you want me to share? Why don't you talk
to us a little bit about, your understanding of walk-ins and your experiences with contact?
Well, first I want to say is that we are moving into a whole new territory. All the definitions, all the understanding of consciousness, the soul, everything that we thought was reality, it's sort of past. It's like that was yesterday. And what we're coming into is a time of redefining the nature of the human being, who we are, because it didn't work. The past, got us to this sort of roadblock. And yes, there's been great people and great evolution. And yes, love is a big part of it. And I love what Omar was saying. But if we really want to move forward as a sophisticated civilization, which is in touch with a greater future, we have to realize that it wasn't working the way we had it planned, the way that the society had it planned, like those in charge were going to control those below and manipulate media and the whole framework of understanding reality. Reality is not what we've been told it is. Not that we've been told anything, but we've been programmed to think a certain way about who we are in relationship to each other. And we haven't been told we are infinite. We haven't been told that we are of the cosmos, that we're not limited human beings just living on Earth. We need this re-education on all levels, and this resistance to our own spiritual nature, which has been co-opted by religions and dogmas and everything that someone said, no, it's like this, not like this. There is no authority. There are no authorities. We have to let go of this whole idea of authority. I don't want to be an authority by saying that, but we're on a new playing field. And if we can come to this fresh, unaware of presumptions, open to possibilities, I think we have a chance to step into a new future that does work for everybody. But we have to really look at our own programming and get out of the way and decide that what kind of future do we want to live in, and everyone wants to live in, and let go of telling people what the right and wrong way to do things are. So I don't want to tell that to anyone. I just want to say we're opening a new playing field. It is a new ball game. We're heading into something unknown, and we just have to stay available. Nothing is definite. Nothing is sure. Everything is possible. And, we can call people walk-ins. We can call them, indigos. All these things are great because it gives people a place, but who and what we really are is undefinable. So I think if we can live in the undefinable, in the abstract, we get closer to understanding what the higher ETs are really like. They don't communicate in words. They communicate in feelings and energetics. They do not collapse the wave function into this is it. There is no this is it. Everything's floating into the abstract. And if we can live in an abstract awareness, we'll get closer to how the rest of the cosmos really operates and free ourselves from the enslavement that has trapped us for 5,000 years. Does that make sense?
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Good.
Thank you.
It does. Sorry, Rob.
Okay. Go ahead, Omar.
I was just going to say, who better to listen to than Alan Steinfeld, because he's been doing this for like such a long time, right? And he has the experience.
I don't know anything.
Yeah, but you have the experience behind you.
But I don't know anything. Nobody knows anything. We are in unknown territory, and we just have to keep asking the question. But thank you, Omar. But I think something unknown is doing we don't know what, and we have to just keep our awareness open to possibilities. So we're moving into exciting times. So what will the panel talk about this weekend? What do we want to really focus on this weekend at the conference?
Before we run off there, Rob had something to say before I rudely interrupted.
Yeah, Rob.
Now I just rudely interrupted.
I'll make it prevalent to the panel as well. And I think Alan is absolutely right. We're in this moment of unprecedented areas. There's no perception or paradigm for what we're talking about. And the retreat that Omar talked about, this workshop we did yesterday, I did a presentation on programming and conditioning. And I think one of the first steps to getting yourself into this unprecedented area, and I'm not an authority of any type, but is to shed that conditioning of what society says we are or are not. It's societal, it's heretical, it's fear-based. There's so many different levels of that conditioning that it seems like, so the people that are caught up in it are so, every thought becomes a conditioned response, whether it's emotional or logical. And it's taken me quite a bit to shed a lot of that, to get into this space where, you know, I don't know. I'll admit I don't know, but I'm here for the ride, and I'm here to learn whatever anybody has to put on the table. And it did, you know, it's because of conditioning. And I think that that's one of the things we're also going to be exploring with the walk-in conference too, is this paradigm of the unknown, and everybody's story is prevalent because it becomes prevalent to that person. And then the energy that they flux off of that story is going to affect you on a level with information, how and why. And I really think that it's going to give us an eclectic view of how this works, right? Whether it's right or wrong, or there's no authority in it, but to hear all those different stories really creates a special paradigm for people who have had these different paths. And it really brings a lot of light to these subjects that were very, very secluded for a very long time. And now we're on the forefront of that, and we're going to get that out. And I am appreciative of that, and I have so much gratitude, because I love to hear all of you talk all the time, and I just like to sit back and just listen all the time, and it feels great to engage too. So I mean, it's really it's a big deal to me, and I love it.
Thank you, Rob. Hey, Sheila, I wonder if Roslyn can give us a little preview of what she's going to be showing us in the video.
I bet she can. If you'll do the share screen.
Oh,
Roslyn, do you have anything prepared?
Well, yeah, actually I could just, yeah.
Make you co-host. Okay, co-host.
And
If you want to, and then maybe Auggie can also share some of his images and impressions that he's received over the years too.
let's see, I'm going into D, and as soon as I find that.
Okay. And then we could wrap it up after everyone closes.
So while she's preparing that, I think that it's been so well stated over and over during this interview that, you know, what we are really doing is breaking through those old paradigms. We're really moving into uncharted territories, and it takes all of us together. You know, walk-ins, indigos, starseeds, hybrids. Yes, those are categories that allow us to express that energy that we're bringing forward. And the reality is we're all starseeds, we're all hybrids, we all are here. But I think the more we talk about these kinds of subjects, the more people begin to understand the reality is it's commonplace. And as we can accept that, then more and more people can wake up, and they have a sense of more about who they are and what their gifts are that they're bringing to the planet, and how they can help to shift and move us into these higher vibrations.
Right. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
All right. You ready, Roslyn?
Yeah, oops, okay, I'm not muted. Good. Yeah, so I have to do a screen share, and then
Down at the bottom.
I'll open that folder up because I have it here. Let me come over here.
Open the folder first, usually, and then.
It's open, yeah, I got it. I did, that's what I was doing while we were talking. So where's screen share? Aha, there we are.
Bottom.
Screen share. Oh, I've got a lot of stuff up there. Look at that. Okay, let's just do this. And then I'll come back over here to us and do screen share. Share. Hey, there we are. Okay, so here's Neon Star. And the funny thing was that I had just also seen an article where they spoke about, the scientists spoke about discovering that this neon they've discovered neon particles in the cosmos that they believe are instrumental in creating planets. And so I said, well, how coincidental, because here I am making this and I'm inspired by the neon beings that I have pictures of, these neon beings and the neon energies. So I'll show you a little bit of this and we'll see. How
Yes.
Okay. These are videos that I took of what I'm seeing in the sky all the time.
Seeing this in the sky, huh?
Yes, well, I'm traveling through the cosmos. This is an exoplanet, probably. These are planets.
You took that from your backyard?
No, from the sky at night. I just travel, or in the sun, in the central sun. I go through central sun. I see a lot through there. They're all color planets. That's a neon being. That's another kind of being.
You want to give it all away, but that's good.
Yeah, we don't want to give it all away. But
That's
there's
fine. But thank you. Thank
all
you.
right.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's a zeta reticuli. Okay, that's enough of that.
What was it? What was that? Was a
Save
zeta?
it, save it,
It was a zeta reticuli.
save it for the conference.
That was a
Something like
zeta
that.
reticuli being we just saw. Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
it's flying in a ship. Yes.
Wow.
Wow,
Absolutely.
incredible. Never seen anything like that before.
There you go. How do I full screen myself again? Oh, I know what I do. Stop share. Aha. Yes. It's been a wild ride. There's some things that aren't in the movie, and actually, I stopped the screen share. That's a shame.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You're going to show it this weekend anyway, right?
Yeah, the movie, but some of the things I have here are not in that movie. Like I was telling you about the beings that show up in the garden, and they're actually there. So, if you want, I can show you one, but it's okay if we do.
That was amazing. You filmed that from the spacecraft, Rose?
I filmed that. I'm not even sure if let's say I'm really connecting to the source energy and through the central sun. And recently I've started changing colors. I've started documenting myself now, not just to space, because I've had this thing where my nose started glowing and I said, okay, now I'm definitely fully integrating my multidimensional beingness. And it's so exciting times. But they don't need spaceships. There are ships, and then again, let me mention, and I know they're not going to come take me away, but Israel's very something about the airspace here. But living on the port of Haifa here, where actually this is where the army and stuff, they were always flying over. There's helicopters. I filmed some of these, and when I zoomed in on it, they weren't helicopters at all. They weren't. The crafts can be cloaked or appear to be something else completely. So I said, okay, there's that. And then I looked at the pictures and it was far from being a regular, typical craft of plane or that. And then I've had also orbs come at me, not orbs, but life forms. And one was like a red huge red, and this was in my last place just before I moved, and it just came at me in the sky right in front of me, and the most beautiful thing happened. A blue one came out of it. So there was a red one and a blue one. So I looked back at the photos, and then not only did I see those, and I filmed it and took pictures, and then I saw like a feminine face and a masculine face, and it was almost like they were kissing. It was like such a feeling of love. You see, that's another thing. We create our own realities. Isn't that right, Ellen? I really am still trying to get a hold of your book, by the way, Making Contact.
Oh.
And everyone should get that book, because there are so many amazing, amazing.
It's on
artists.
Amazon. You can order it on Amazon.
Great. Yeah, we'll do that. And so so these things they're coming through, I'm like, I get lost. Never mind. But they were there. And I was like, okay, they're telling me something. And it was like seeing the old earth and the new earth, because what else is it going to be? The red one and the blue one, the energies.
Reminds me of the Kachinas, the red Kachina and the blue Kachina.
Exactly. I've gotten that. I've also gotten Venus and the blue planet all the time. And I'm getting such high frequencies. It's wow. But yeah, it's going to be an amazing conference. That's all I can say. These are exemplary contributors to humanity. What you're looking at right here on the panel, all of us right here now, Alan for creating new reality, Sheila Seppi for founding and creating the Wish Alliance and all of these organizations, and Neil also. It's like these are pioneers that are helping to push forward the disclosure of humanity itself in the dawning of our awakening to all that we are, which is we're fantastic, we're amazing.
Thank you.
Looking
Thank you,
forward to it.
Rosalind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Auggie. Yeah, go
I got
ahead. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Auggie. Yeah.
Yeah, I got one last 2-minute comment, and I think it's kind of important because I know that Omar was talking about controlling your mind and focusing on what you want to think and what you want to do and want to be. And that is right now very important, because we are going through this change and it's going to accelerate on us. And there are more than one timeline going into the future based on the present actions and thoughts that we have and do. If we start thinking about negative stuff and all the garbage that is going on in the world, we could veer off from the one that we want to stay in. So these timelines, yeah, exactly. It could split off on you, just like your railroad ties there, Omar. And what we want to do is to control it, because if we are not controlling our mind, somebody else is controlling our mind, and they don't do that for our purpose. They do it for their purpose. So we want to think about what we want. We have to know what we want to see in our future down there. And then we create mental images, colorful pictures around it, emotion, intention of it being real. Fill it with love. And place it in the future, not too far ahead. We don't want to wait years for this. We want to place it in the future and go back and forth, visit it every day. And when we do that, we lay down attractor strings to it that will draw us up this timeline to that thing that you placed in the future. Because once you have thought it, imaged it, you place it into the quantum field, you give it a low form of life and place it into the quantum field. It's sitting there as potential for existence. So when you later on go in, concentrate on that thing in the future, go back and forth to it, you are drawing that into your timeline from wherever you placed it, and it will be there for you. when you get to that time-coded event in the future that you want to be at to enjoy all the things that you have imaged into existence. Because I may not have mentioned it, but there's something, we're not just talking about woo-woo stuff here. There's some science behind what we are talking about. If we look at quantum mechanics, that explains the quantum field. There is something called the theory of inflation. Doesn't talk about money. It's the theory of inflation, which takes potentiality and create reality from it, physical reality. So what you have thought of, you place it into the field, that's a potential for reality. Now you go get it, bring it back into the physical by thinking about it all the time. Live in the future of what you have created, and it will be yours.
Believe
I know
it.
I spent more than 2 minutes on that one, but I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. What were you saying, Omar?
I was just adding to what Auggie was saying, the living in the future is that you have to believe that that future has already manifested. And once you believe that it's manifested, then the matrix will just manifest and program whatever it is that that you're wishing for in your mind and what you're thinking about. So just wanted to add that. And I just wanted to quickly ask Rose, when you were saying earlier about documenting yourself and that your nose was growing or not glowing, I wanted to ask, do you have like crystals, are you sweating crystals from your body? Because I know it for the last 2 years, I have like these microscopic crystals, they're literally microscopic. When I go like this on my hand, right, or on my arms, I can literally see it sparkling and it's kind of like oozing out of me. And I wanted to ask if same thing is happening with you.
I haven't really tried to look for that. I'm really busy flying through the cosmos so much, and then in between that, I've moved my last rooftop garden into my apartment to ground myself as much as possible, because I think I spend a lot more time in that space, and it has become my life. And I have seen other people in the community, friends of mine that have put pictures out on Facebook of the crystals on their skin. So yes, that is a real thing. And the funny thing was, it was just recently I had a neutrino bath. And you probably go out and get caught in the rain. It was the first rains here in Israel for the season. We only have it in the winter. And I was out the window as usual, hanging out there, and I got all of the storm that was coming. I got wet from that. Well, the funny thing that did happen after that was I had this kind of crystals on my skin. It was like I had this almost like white crystallization that happened all around my face. And then right after that, then I was looking at my phone and I started glowing. So then I said, oh dear, how do I get this? I'm looking in my thing. So I went to get my other phone to film what I was looking at in my other phone. But yeah, it was happening. I was a little bit, we are humans and we still have our natural first reaction to these new experiences. And I thought, this is interesting. Now I'm documenting myself, and we are documenting ourselves. We're a novel. We're the living, walking, breathing novel, and the book's already written. It's encoded in our DNA. It's stored in every cell, the memory banks, and now it's like the counting has begun. This is countdown. And some of those banks are going to be emptied and some shut down. I was, about what Alan was saying as well, as we release the old systems that aren't serving us anymore, all of that. And the new realities are just dawning. They're just over the horizon. And we're so close now to it being a wide, broken open into a unified, a common knowing in our collective. And so, we're just creating more space for the growth, for the expansion, for our consciousness, our higher awareness. And yeah, it's like there's a seed inside and it's broken through its protective shell. And ours was more like an oblivion, and we had no idea. And knowing by divine nature that this is the moment, the season of change. That's going to break through the shell, and it's going to grow. And we are growing. And thank you, Sheila, and thank you, Alan, and thank you, Neil, and thank you all of us. Thank all of us, because we want this, and we're doing this. They can't. And as far as that's going with all the experiences, ask people, anybody out there who's listening, are you really ready for 4D, 5D, higher dimensional experiences, contact with ETs or other beings, life forms, the unseen, space travel, the new realities? Alan, your new realities is like, it just comes out all the time and all the time. It says it all, and all this thing, and the many aspects of ourselves, including the hidden and undiscovered aspects of ourselves, the many we, as we begin consciously seeing beyond the veil. It's kept us so long in the dark, and we're waking up, wanting to know the truth, to touch the real I ams, the real multidimensional spaces, both inside and outside, the quantum fields of energy in motion, coursing through our bodies, like you said about the waters, and the waters in our bodies, Omar. It's absolutely so true. They're sacred waters, and we're touching those waters now, learning that, we can manage the flow of that. And a lot of the times I try to help people with that, and it comes from a sense of calm. It's just so simple. It comes from a sense of calm, like you were saying. I just tell things, get that thought out of my head. And I really literally say, can that thought go away? Can you take that away? And it does, it disappears. And you come back to center again. Because anything, like Alan was saying, all these other energies that are trying to throw us off from where we're going and what we're doing, it's like, it's enough is enough. So
right, we're moving into new times. Thank you. Rob, any final words from you, Rob?
I just wanted to say thank you for having me here today. And Rose is absolutely right. They do studies on what the highest frequency to motion is, and it actually is the calm, the stillness, not fear, not love, none of it. The calm is the most highest frequency. And once we get into that internalization and we bring it back to ourselves and really look inward, the potentials are endless, and everybody should find their path back inward, because there are infinite paths to source, but all those roads lead straight to the internal. And that's what I'll leave you with today.
perfect.
Thank you. Okay, Sheila, what were you going to say, Sheila?
Yeah, I was just going to mention to Omar that I believe that's the crystalline body that is actually manifested into the physical, because I have that same thing that happens. And a lot of times if I go out in the sun, I just glitter. And sometimes even in the house, you can see it. And so personally, I believe that's the activation of the crystalline body, because I tell people, we were incarnated whole. Our souls, when we came in, we're encased within that light body. And then one of those protective shells, if you will, is that crystalline body, because that crystalline body is then what's feeding and sending out those energetic vibrations. And so when that body has been activated in the etheric level, then just like the soul, it imprints onto the cellular structure of the physical body.
Oh, very cool. Nice to know that. Wow. Because it's happening all the time. Like even now when I'm looking, I can see like glitters. And when I go out in the sun, it's almost like somebody took glitter on me and just threw it on me. And I'm walking around and I'm sparkling and people are looking at me, and it's a little weird. But I've come to accept, and this has been happening now for about 2 years now, two and a half years. And I thought I was the only one. And then I was watching a video from a friend of mine, and she was mentioning the same thing, that she was oozing crystals and such. And I was like, oh, right on, I'm not the only one. So I reached out to her and I spoke to her. And then when Rose was saying that her nose was glowing, I was like, hey, this is a perfect moment to bring that up and see if we can get some insight. And if anybody else that's watching us is going through the same thing, right? So they can get a good understanding as to what's happening to them, because really we are shifting and we are changing, right? The night is always the darkest before dawn, and I think we can see the sun coming up, the glitter of light, the hope that's there.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Sheila, just before we go, do you want to just bring up the conference that's coming on the website?
Sure.
Can you do that?
Can you give me access?
Yes, I will make you a co-host here. Yes. Yes.
And
there-
here we are.
Here we are,
So,
coming up in just a
for
few
those
days.
viewers who may not know why we're here talking about the upcoming 2-day walk-in conference. And again, it's more of a conscious expansion conference, not just about walk-ins, because everybody here that you see on the screen has had phenomenal experiences. They're channeling these amazing beings. They're bringing through healing techniques. They're assisting the planet on various ways, whether it's with crystalline grids, helping people understand, like Nicholas that was on earlier. Nicholas actually is helping people to understand all their soul contracts and all the energies that they brought through based on their birth name and the resonance that carries. And so at the end of each of these days, excuse me, day one, we have a panel of our esteemed individuals that are here today. And then on day two, we're also going to bring in another panel who will be talking about their galactic families. They'll be talking about the planets that they are from, that they have memories from. They will be talking about their adventures of still working, going on the ships, working with their families, and the information that they're bringing through and anchoring on this planet. Because I'm telling you, we are moving quickly. If we think that last year went quickly, folks, this coming year, I believe, is going to be twice as fast, because there's so many new energies that's flooding. And the reality is we have different timelines that are collapsing and coming together. So just all this information, everything that everyone's going to bring through is to help people reach that different level of consciousness within themselves. So I'm very excited. If you haven't registered, you can do it here. You can go to portaltoascension.org. Be sure to put in the PTA 25 discount code so that you receive 25% off. So we will look forward to seeing you this weekend. Woohoo!
Just to add in there, I shared the PTA website link in the comments. So guys, follow that link.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Did you add it on the YouTube comments? Is that what you
I
said?
did. I put it onto the New Realities YouTube chat room.
Thank you.
And also ejected a couple of low vibratory porn posters. So,
thank you, because I haven't been following that. Yeah, we need to get rid of the low vibrations. And
yeah, I've been watching it and I've been kicking their ass and blocking them.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, that was an afternoon here at the Wish Alliance there, Sheila. Thank you for, and tomorrow, what do we have tomorrow? I think we have something, right?
So tomorrow we have our panel from day two that will be here.
Okay,
so
great.
We have,
Okay, and
also, just to quickly to add in there, Alan, Sheila and I are doing a talk on January the 6th in 2 days. And we'll be doing a raffle and giving away some free tickets to the conference coming up this weekend. So you guys tune into that.
Oh, also on January 6th, I'm doing a predictions panel for the new year with 5 different astrologers, and that'll be here and on Portal to Ascension as well. So you could tune, that's free. So everybody's welcome. Just watch this YouTube channel. So, okay, well, this has been fun. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you all this weekend.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Amazing. Love you.
Thank you, everyone watching online.
Thank you. I
Thank
love
you.
you. Don't forget
Thank
to
Live
say I
long
love
and
you.
prosper.
We are living long and prospering. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.